Let's see what's popping on Twitter.
Oh yeah!
That's a funny meme. You know, speaking of which, where is Breath of the Wild 2? We should be getting that soon, right? Come to think of it, didn't we get Age of Calamity like yesterday? Hey, Nintencisco here. What's up, guys? So, in this video, I have a fun topic that I've been really excited to share for a long time. This is something I've been wanting to talk about for a while. If you have been watching my streams, if you've seen me in like the NTED podcast or anything like that, you might have seen me talk briefly or have a little like rant about this topic. And so I wanted to make an official video on it. So I saw that meme on Twitter, and it was a funny meme, but a lot of people were starting to be like, you're waiting on Breath of the Wild 2? What about Metroid? What about Star Fox? And I was like, That's a topic I've been wanting to talk about for a long time. So obviously the meme is just about, where's Breath of the Wild 2? We haven't heard any news. And yet we got Age of Calamity like, what, 3 months ago? 2 months ago? By the way, if you haven't played Age of Calamity, it's a really good game. It's a Warriors game, it's not your traditional Zelda, but I strongly recommend it if you haven't tried it already. I love that we're having all this Zelda content, man. We had Breath of the Wild, then we had Link's Awakening, and then we have other things like Cadence of Hyrule, where there's a crossover with Legend of Zelda. And then we got Age of Calamity. We have so much Legend of Zelda games. There's even more than the ones I just listed now. But I started to think about it, I'm like, man, you know what? Is Nintendo playing favorites? Let me elaborate. In Nintendo Switch's lifetime, we've had lots of Mario games. We have at least one Mario game every year. Usually more. Legend of Zelda is a guaranteed once a year. At least one Zelda game a year. And there has been some years where we have maybe one mainline Legend of Zelda game, and then we'll have a cameo, and then we'll have a crossover. We have all sorts of things like that. Pokemon is another one where we have at least one big game a year, or we get a bunch of little trinkets, right? So like last year, we had the 2 DLCs, the big expansions for Sword and Shield, and we had things like Pokemon Cafe, Pokemon Smile, and then they also revealed that there's Pokemon Snap later this year. That being said, it made me think, you know, it's kind of a bummer because I love Legend of Zelda, I love Mario, I love Pokemon, and I think I would sprinkle a little bit of Animal Crossing in there too. Animal Crossing does get a lot of good treatment. Smash Brothers is like the ultimate celebration of Nintendo. But while a lot of the attention and a lot of Nintendo's efforts are being put into making those games, I can't help but think that other game series are suffering. While Nintendo is working really hard to dish out and push out some of those other games, there's other games that just been kind of lost throughout time. When was the last time we had a Star Fox game? When was the last time we had a Metroid game? When was the last time, even Kirby? Kirby is an interesting one because Kirby is made by Daddy Sakurai, who is like the creator of Smash Brothers. But Kirby is like one of Nintendo's like most iconic characters ever. I mean, look on Good Smile's website. Almost every other, month there's a new Kirby toy or something. Kirby is just such a face of Nintendo, and have you noticed that on the Switch we only have Kirby Star Allies, which I think a lot of people agree wasn't that great. So we have 2 Kirby games on the Switch. We have Kirby Star Allies, and then we also have Kirby Super Clash. Now those are 2 games on the Switch, but if you're talking about physical cartridges, like a game that you go to the store and buy and it's like a mainline game, only 1 Kirby game. Because of how iconic Kirby is, wouldn't you think that there would be a Kirby at least once a year or at least once every 2 years? But that doesn't seem to be the case. However, at least with Kirby, we've had consistent games on the Wii U and the 3DS. So it's not like we've gotten so long without a new installment in the series. However, there are other Nintendo IPs that have been gone, lost in history. We went so long without a Star Fox game, and what happened? We got Star Fox Zero, which didn't sell well at all. And then we haven't got another Star Fox game since, except for at least him being in the cameo, or sorry, a crossover in Starlink, Battle of Atlas. F-Zero still hasn't gotten a new game in a long time. You get the idea. There's been some series that have been just pushed to the side, and here's our glorified Mario and Legend of Zelda. But there's one other title, one other Nintendo series that I feel like a lot of us have forgotten, and Nintendo kind of just pushed it away. I have another player, another gamer that would like to say something about this series. Take it away.
Cisco, I am very glad that you asked me to be a part of this episode because, bruh, let me tell you, Nintendo is slacking. They are sleeping on my man. This little robot is Chibi Robo. And let me tell you, he has had the worst history with Nintendo. Nintendo made this robot and they're shitting on him. They're effing shitting on him, bro. Let me tell you this right now. Chibi Robo, this game is beautiful. It is epic. It's called Chibi Robo Plug into Adventure. It's a beautiful, beautiful game about a little robot that saves everyone's lives from basically falling apart. Both the Sanderson family that own the little robot, as well as all of the toys that come to life at night. They all have their own anxieties and drama and sorrows. And Chibi Robo, this little robot, he saves everybody from their sorrow. He improves their morale. He does all kinds of wonderful things by just being what he was programmed to do, to make people happy. That's what Chibi Robo is all about. For some reason, Nintendo just doesn't want to replicate this, and they get it wrong every time. They can't seem to replicate the formula for Chibi Robo. And Nintendo actually put this on the new Play Control series in Japan, but it never got ported to North America. They also made Chibi Robo Park Patrol for the DS, and they also made a much more traditional Chibi Robo game on the DS, which played a lot like the original for the GameCube, but it was never released in North America. And they made Chibi Robo Photo Finder, which was honestly just a shit post on the Chibi Robo series, but it gets even worse than that. Chibi Robo Ziplash was the biggest pile of shit on the Chibi Robo series ever to date, because it wasn't even a traditional Chibi Robo game like this. That is not Chibi Robo. And Nintendo blackmailed the Chibi Robo community and all of the other Chibi Robo fans, and they said, if Chibi Robo Ziplash does not do well in sales, they will never make another Chibi Robo game. So, me, scared shitless out of my pants, wanting another Chibi Robo game, I caved and I bought it. Mainly so that I could get this beautiful amiibo. Like, if they made a proper new Chibi Robo game, one that is of equal or surpasses Chibi Robo for the GameCube, I would be complete. Thank you, Cisco.
Woo! My man Luke was spitting. Bro, Luke, I feel that pain. You hear that sorrow in his voice? So one big issue, going off the topic of Nintendo neglecting other series, is that Nintendo seems to also feel and talk about the players like they know what the players want. And what I mean by that is that Chibi Robo was one of those things where they were like, you know what, if we do a side-scroller, like, platformer, it should be okay. Players will take it. And then they said, players, if you don't buy this, we'll get rid of Chibi Robo. That'd be the last game. So, poor Chibi Robo fans were like, wait, what? Poor marketing, and they put minimal effort into the new Chibi Robo game, and now they're saying if you don't buy it, it's gone forever. I want to bring up this topic because this actually is not something that was a small little inconvenience to players. If you guys remember, this actually was a big worry for a lot of gamers. We had gone for so long without a Metroid game, a proper Metroid game, because Metroid Other M was on the Wii, and it did very poorly. And ever since then, Nintendo has never made another Metroid game. Cut to when they have a Nintendo Direct and they talk about a new Metroid game. I was freaking out until we learned that it was just like Metroid Prime, the Roblox edition. Yeah, and you don't get to play as Samus. You play as these guys that look nothing like Metroid characters. Yeah, so that obviously did very poor. Metroid fans weren't very happy, including myself. That is still, to this day, the only Metroid game I have never purchased. Because we didn't buy Metroid Federation Force, a lot of fans were saying, oh my gosh, Metroid's dead. Nintendo, we didn't buy the game. Nintendo's just gonna say, all right, Metroid, done. And what sucks about that is Samus is like one of the most iconic game characters in history. If you talk about any female lead of a role model in video games, Samus is definitely one of the first on that list. So does this mean we're just never gonna have Metroid again? We're never gonna be able to see Samus besides Smash Brothers? And this is happening for other things like Star Fox. Nobody bought Star Fox Zero after they pushed so much for Star Fox. And we felt like Nintendo's just been very disconnected with the fans. And seeing that poor sales for a game, Nintendo seems to figure, you know what? I guess Nintendo fans don't like that series anymore. Rather than actually looking through it and being like, man, we didn't do a good job. We realized that the controls were bad, that the graphics were bad, that the gameplay was terrible, that it didn't respect the series as a whole. They don't look at that. Instead, they just say, okay, well, fine, you didn't buy it, well, we're not making it anymore. And that's blackmailing the fans and just having a very poor mindset against some of their own iconic characters that we love so much. So, you know, during that Wii U and 3DS Dark era, it just felt like, man, a lot of Nintendo characters are just going to be killed off. We're not going to see Metroid again. We're not going to see Star Fox again, F-Zero, Chibi Robo. And unfortunately, it seems like it's going that way because we're 3-4 years into the Switch's life and we have nothing. We don't have anything for those series. One point I want to make is that Metroid Prime 4, once it's finally released, who's to say it'll ever come back again? You see, Legend of Zelda, we know for a fact that it's coming back because it sells well. But Metroid, if it doesn't sell well, or if it's, you know, even if it does sell well, we might never see it again. That's how Nintendo operates. And so that's why I feel like Nintendo just neglects some of their IPs, even when those IPs may do well or bring some hype or have a big fan base. Nintendo will say, Legend of Zelda first, Mario first, Pokemon, all our efforts are going into that. Metroid, we'll have once in, 20 years. So that brings me to my next topic of, sometimes it's not about blackmailing, about it not doing well, but sometimes Nintendo just has that weird judgment of, this was awesome, we are never doing it again. And there is one other gamer in this video that's gonna share his thoughts on that topic. Take it away, my man.
How's it going, everyone? It's me, Linkachu. I'm sitting in front of my shelf with all my Kid Icarus Uprising merch, or Kid Icarus merch. Kid Icarus is a game series that I love, and it just doesn't get the treatment from Nintendo it deserves.
Sorry to keep you waiting.
Kid Icarus Uprising came out in 2012, and we haven't gotten an installment since. The last time Kid Icarus was ever really talked about by Nintendo, or anyone at Nintendo, was Sakurai, because he made Uprising and he loves that game. Before Uprising, the last time we got a Kid Icarus game was 25 years. And it was a game that Japan didn't even get until like the 3DS Virtual Console. It was called Kid Icarus of Myths and Monsters. And it was a random Game Boy game that only North America and Europe got. And it's so random, it's such a random game. I love Kid Icarus Uprising. It's one of my favorite games of all time, and I can say it's the greatest game on the 3DS without a doubt. And it's just sad that the only way that this series ever gets recognized is through Smash Brothers. Because do you know what? It truly deserves so much more attention than it gets. It's incredible.
The Pinnacle has a few new moves to show you. Bark like a dog.
Hurry, Pit. The people need your help.
The Mother games are some of the greatest games I've ever played in my entire life. It has been almost 15 years since Mother 3 released in Japan, and we never got that game in the West. Now there's more than a fair amount of reasons why we've never gotten that game, but it also creates fear that this franchise will never be acknowledged by Nintendo ever again. And it's a shame that we haven't been able to see another one of these games in so long. There's 3 games, and it took almost 25 years, I think? 20 years or something like that, for the original Mother game to ever be released in North America as well. We, for the longest time, only had Earthbound, and that did exponentially poorly because of how Nintendo marketed it in the West. This game series is incredible and should not be overlooked, as it has some of the most incredible storytelling and some of the funniest moments and incredible characters, and I just love it so much. And it's just so heart-wrenching to see that it's not really acknowledged by anybody. Luckily these days, the Hobonichi Project, a toys company, has been acknowledging the Mother series and creating merch like this adorable Mr. Saturn and a bunch of other stuff. There are people who really love these games, and I think Nintendo and other people need to bring them some sort of love and attention because they do deserve it. Nintendo needs to acknowledge these games, and they need to either recreate them or just give them more love. the last thing we've even saw from Nintendo even acknowledging their existence is their inclusion in Smash Bros. And I don't even think that would have happened if it wasn't for Sakurai. Give us Mother 3, Reggie.
Give us Mother 3, WB!
Linkachu, you moved me, man. Linkachu brings up a great topic about, Kid Icarus and Mother 3. Mother 3 has been the joke for a long time, but check this out. Despite there being such a big push for Mother 3 to be localized or maybe a new installment in the franchise, Nintendo's like, nah. And a big issue, I think, is that we have some really talented people in the office. We have Sakurai, such an amazing game developer. We've had some other teams that are just so good at what they do, and yet they put all their efforts in the same 4 franchises: the Mario franchise, the Zelda, the Smash Brothers. And we got to see Sakurai put his heart and soul into another series, the Kid Icarus series. He did amazing! Linkachu is correct when he says that is one of the best, if not the best, game on the 3DS, Kid Icarus Uprising. I'm literally blown away about how great that game was and how Sakurai was able to pull that off. He took a game series that was kind of boring into something magical, something new. He breathed some fresh new air into that series, brought it to life, something that we thought we'll see over and over again, something that we thought we'll see Kid Icarus back up into the top of the charts for Nintendo. And yet, silence. Then Sakurai is back working on Smash Bros. Full time, and we don't really get to see him work his magic in any of the other IPs. Imagine Sakurai working on Mother, or a Kirby game, or another Kid Icarus Uprising game. And it's sad to see that all the efforts are being put into Smash Brothers, but we're not seeing the same effort being put into a new Pikmin game, a new Star Fox game, and a new F-Zero game, Chibi Robo, Custom Robo. Now, don't get me wrong, because the next thing I'm gonna say is that there is hope. Yes. In my next video, we're having a 2-part. In my next video, we're gonna talk about the actual hope and how I may be wrong, and maybe behind the scenes Nintendo actually is listening and actually might bring some of those IPs back and start putting more effort into them. Because not all hope is lost. Because of the Nintendo Switch. The Nintendo Switch has shown us that there's more to, Nintendo's lineup. That there's more hope for things like, Metroid and Pikmin. So I'm going to talk about in the next video about how those IPs may be saved and how Nintendo might have a plan to fix all of this problem of picking favorites and neglecting their other great series. But anyways, sorry if the video was very long. I'm not sure how long the video is. I'm going to try to cut it down as short as possible. We have a lot to talk about, and yeah, I'm excited to share this video out, and I just wanted to rant and talk about this and make a point. Let me know in the comments below. What do you guys think of this topic? This is a very interesting topic that I've been, love expressing. Is there a game series that you love that hasn't gotten a new installment in a long time? How do you feel about my opinion on Smash Brothers? How do you feel about me saying that Nintendo's picking favorites? Let me know in the comments below. Am I tripping? Am I spinning facts? Let me know. And thank you guys for watching. Keep an eye out for the second video. And yeah, let me know. Thank you for watching, guys, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. See ya.